All right, so we have three functions: sine, cosine, and tangent. I need your eyes, guys, because if you can't get this, this is just the first layer. You're never going to be successful in a test. It's just a straight up 50 on the test. There's no guessing on this. So, sine, cosine, and tangent they're all ratios. Just like we did with cross multiplying. They generate ratios. So, sine is the ratio opposite over hypotenuse. Cosine is the ratio adjacent over hypotenuse. And tangent is the ratio opposite over adjacent. That's something that you're just going to have to memorize. So there's three things you have to memorize, and those three things have three parts. So someone decided to come up with this thing called SOHCAHTOA. Have you heard that before? SOHCAHTOA? I have a hard time spelling it. SOHCAHTOA looks like this. SOHCAHTOA. SOHCAHTOA. And it says that sine is opposite over hypotenuse. It says that cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, and tangent is opposite over adjacent. SOHCAHTOA. Does that help anybody? Yeah? I never liked it because I could never spell it. I always want to say SOHCOH. That's how I spell SOHCAHTOA. So to understand how it's spelled, they came up with an acronym. We're not supposed to say this in school anymore, so you didn't hear it from me. The acronym is some old hippie caught another hippie tripping on acid. Right? I'm supposed to say some old hippie caught another hippie tripping on apples, but that doesn't hit as hard, right? So this is how we set these things up. This is everything I'm trying to teach you guys today. That's it. That's all of it. But like, how does this actually work? Does anybody have any idea how this might actually work? Okay, so in a triangle, these triangles are labeled, aren't they? Like A, B, and C. You can only trig from an angle that's not a right angle. So you are not allowed to trigonometry from that angle. It's impossible to do that. You can only trig from A or B. Now, depending on what angle you pick, this is the hugest part of this. If you pick A, you get one set of answers. If you pick B, you get a different set of answers. So which angle do you want to trig from first? A. So, if we're going to do trigonometry from angle A, we have to assign these three words. This opposite, adjacent, and hypotenuse labels to each side of that triangle. So, what side is opposite of A? So I'll call that. This is the opposite side from A. Which side is adjacent to A? That's the one that everybody hates. The adjacent side. So if you don't know what adjacent is, which one's the hypotenuse? The 5 is the hypotenuse, right? Well, if this is opposite and this is hypotenuse, what does that one have to be? Adjacent. So if you, at angle A, 3 is the opposite side, 4 is the adjacent side, and 5 is the hypotenuse. So sine is opposite over adjacent. The sine of angle A is the opposite number. What is it? 3 over the hypotenuse number. This is our goal today.
Are you there?
We're going to do that all day until you guys are comfortable
Are you
with
there?
that. Hello. Yeah. All right, thank you. Kristana, you're going home. Watch the video. All right, let's try cosine of A. So cosine of A goes to this angle, and cosine uses the ratio adjacent over hypotenuse. So what's the adjacent number? 4. And the hypotenuse? 5. And then we'll go tangent. What is the tangent of A? Opposite over adjacent. That's what we're trying to do today, guys. That's all we're trying to do. So let's go to our actual notes. We'll do this one together. That's everything that I just talked about on your notes. You see that in your notes? It says sine is opposite over adjacent, cosine and tangent. All that is working from right here. So here's our first question. We're going to talk about that. This one right here. I want to do the sine of D, the cosine of D, and the tangent of D. So when I set those up, I know it should be the sine of D equals something over something. The cosine of D equals something over something. And the tangent of D equals something over something. So how much do you remember? What's the first thing I would recommend doing? Shade the angle. That way you know what angle you're working from. You're working from angle D. That's this angle right here. Why is it important to shade that angle? So you know which one your opposite, your adjacent, and your hypotenuse are. Which one is the easiest for you to identify? Hypotenuse, mark it. This is my H for my hypotenuse. So we have our H, but what about which ones are adjacent or which one's opposite? Which one's easier for you? Adjacent, which one's the adjacent? This is your adjacent, which means that the 4 side is your opposite. Okay, so what is sine? Opposite over hypotenuse. So our sine function would be 4 over 5. What's cosine? Adjacent over hypotenuse.
4 over 5?
4 over 5 is opposite over hypotenuse.
Oh, 5 over 4.
That's hypotenuse over opposite.
3 over 5.
3 over 5. And get it, this is hard, guys. It's hard. And then tangent of D. Tangent is tripping on acid, which is opposite over adjacent. 4 over 3. Who feels like I made this seem a lot more complicated than it actually was? It's kind of confusing though, right? Because you have to straight up know what these are. And here's where everyone loses their marbles. Now I want to find the sine of E, the cosine of E, and the tangent of E. Sorry, I have hiccups. What changed?
Don't you just switch out the opposite and
I have to change almost everything, right? Because what is the angle I'm talking about now? I'm talking about angle E now. So now 3 is the opposite side. What's 4? 4 is the adjacent side. Did the hypotenuse change? No. So can you figure out what the sine of E is? The sine of E is still opposite over hypotenuse, but now the answer is 3 over 5. The cosine of E, the function is still the same. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. Looking at the green letters. 4 over 5. Cosine is 4 over 5. I like to say cosine is kind of like alien antennas. It kind of goes like this. Those two things right next to each other. That sometimes helps people. And the tangent of E. So tangent is still tripping on apples. Opposite over adjacent. Opposite over 3 over 4. So I'm pausing for the viewers for the magic to happen in the classroom. Oh, cool. What's cool? What switched?
Everything's reversed from the purple letter. Like before.
Your hypotenuse stayed the same, but your opposite.
The cosine of D and the sine of E are the same answer. The sine of D and the cosine of E are the same answer. Would you even see this? 4 over 3, 4 over 3. Did you see this? 3 over 5, 3 over 5? Or 3 over 4, 3 over 4? Did you see this? How they just flipped over? It's crazy, right? Look, my whole goal today is to make you guys professionals at setting it up. You have to set it up before you can solve it. So I'm going to flip to your other set of notes. I'm done with that set of notes right now. The other set where you just see these guys. And we're going to work on setting up the ratio. It says, what is the tangent of C? I can get the wheel out, or you guys can just say, I'll go. That'd be really fun. Let's do it. 5th period. Mallory! We're trying to do the tangent of C. So you right under the bus you go. What is tangent? Tangent is opposite over adjacent. So I have to go color in C. What is opposite of C? Mallory. I think it's the 7 or the 24?
7.
The 7 is opposite. And which one's the adjacent? 24. Guys, the good thing about tangent never, ever, ever uses the hypotenuse. So you can cross it out so it doesn't distract you. Tangent does not have a hypotenuse. Tangent is just opposite over adjacent. This is the only answer I care about right here. That's what we're after today. Did it finally click for somebody? A little better? I hope, because the wheel's about to pick you. Emily. We're trying to do the tangent of A. So we're at this angle right here. The tangent of A. Remember that tangent does not use a hypotenuse. So which one is the hypotenuse so I can get rid of it? Huh? 50 is the hypotenuse. You're not going to use that number. So tangent is opposite over adjacent. Which one's opposite of A? 40. Which one's adjacent to A? Nailed it. Don't have to reduce that or do anything to it? Nope. Leave it just like that. Okay? We're doing the tangent of Z. Which one dies? Which one are we not going to use? No 50, right? What's opposite of Z? 30. What's adjacent to Z? 40. Opposite over adjacent. You want to try X? Tangent of X, number 4? You want to give it a go in there? You're good, that's good, we got it. The tangent of X. Do you know what tangent is? Tangent is? Opposite over adjacent. So what is opposite of X? And adjacent to X? Nailed it. Is it clicking? Maybe? You want to try this one? Volunteer? Colby?
Okay.
Alright.
So our opposite would be 12. And then our adjacent would be 9.
Why did you not use 15?
Because it's the hypotenuse.
Perfect. Good. Jordan, you want to try number 6?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay, so.
Oh, sorry. This might add some confusion.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's like that in your notes.
So, the top number 16 and the bottom is. Did I mess it up already?
No, you're good.
Is it 34?
Nope,
Or
if you weren't
30?
paying attention. Why would we not use 34?
Because it's a hypotenuse.
34 is the
Okay.
hypotenuse. Tangent does not use the
30.
hypotenuse. Tangent is always opposite over adjacent.
Okay.
Opposite over adjacent. 3 more. Who wants to try the tangent of Z for number 7? Go ahead, Suzanne.
21 over 20.
Tangent of Z is 21 over 20. Perfect. Number 8, who wants to give it a go? All right, Juanita. Perfect. So I want you to say the tangent of C is 35 over 12.
This is easy.
No, you say that now. But look, the whole purpose of this is to gain confidence setting it up. That's the whole purpose. Okay? Because right now I'm mandating that you do tangent, 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 tangent. But when you solve something, this is a test question. You see how that like the light just went off? So where is the angle? Right here. Here's the angle. And you have to look at it and say, what do I have?
The hypotenuse, or the opposite.
You have an opposite.
You have an adjacent.
You have an adjacent. What is the only trig function that uses opposite and adjacent, or the only trig function that does not use the hypotenuse?
Tangent.
So you do tangent of 30, tangent of the angle is 30 degrees, is equal to opposite over adjacent. So instead of saying the tangent of angle A equals opposite over adjacent, now this is something you have to solve. So you have to pick sine, cosine, or tangent, and you have to select the right function to do it. Then you have to be able to solve that accurately. So this is just confidence in the practice. 2 more, and we'll get to the hard ones. Who wants to go? Jordan, you got it? I believe in you. The tangent of z is 12 over 5, because it does not use the 13. Last one. Now make a super teacher point. Chris, you've been nominated by your fellow table mate. Okay, Solomon. Tangent of A. Perfect. Okay. Only like 40 more to go. You're going to love me for this later. So let's go back and look at our answers. Look at this. 36 over 27. Is there anything fun you can say about that? Is that bigger than 1? Is this one bigger than 1? Yeah? Is that bigger than 1? Is number 7 bigger than 1? Is 6 bigger than 1? No. Is 5 bigger than 1? Yeah. Is this bigger than 1? No. Is number 3 bigger than 1? No. 30 is less than 40, right? So with tangent, your ratio can be either smaller than 1 or smaller than 1 or bigger than 1. But we're sine and cosine, it can never be bigger than 1, ever. It will never work. So I'm going to skip all of these extra tangent questions so you have something to play with tonight. We're going to go to the sine questions, so the last page. Sure. So with sine, you have to remember, what is sine? New function, new ratio. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse. So I want to find the sine of z. So I have to pick this one right here. Remember that my hypotenuse has to be on the bottom. Which one's the hypotenuse? 26. Now which one is opposite of angle z? 24. Now look at that. Is 24 smaller than 26? It has to be. Sine always has to be a function less than 1. Anybody feeling squirrely? I am. Let's do the cosine of z while we're here. What's the cosine of z? Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. That's that caught another hippie. What should I pick next? Who wants to volunteer?
Spin the wheel.
I'll spin the wheel just for you, Hunter. I hope they comes back as someone I already picked. Chris. Very good. Oh. We're looking for the sine of A. And remember, sine is opposite over hypotenuse. So we have A right here. Opposite of A is 24, and the hypotenuse is 30. Okay, so while we're here, Bev, let's do cosine of A. Is there a different way? Is someone still like kind of not all the way there with it? Is there a different way I can explain it? Is there anything else? Is anybody still kind of like, eh? What's the weird part? Because I know someone else is there too, right? Is it? The cosine of A. So cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. I think the adjacent part's the weird one. So adjacent, I like to call it alien antennas. Does that make more sense? So it's alien antennas. We know we're going to use 18 and 30. But which one goes on top, which one goes on the bottom? 30 goes on the bottom because it is the hypotenuse. The hypotenuse always goes on the bottom for cosine. I love alien antennas. I always use cosine when I do these things because that's just my favorite function. All right? So let's try it. You ready? We'll do cosine of A. So A is right here. And we're going to do alien antennas. So we have 30 and 50. 50 goes on the bottom. 30 goes on top. Good. So now that you know that 30 is the adjacent side, and this is the hypotenuse. Oops, sorry, this is the hypotenuse. What does it make this one? Opposite. So now you can do sine of A confidently. Do you remember what sine of A is? What sine is? 40 over. Always have to put the hypotenuse in the bottom. You see how both of these numbers are less than 1? That means you did it perfectly. We good? Let's try another one. These are fun, Baker. I know, right? The sine of A. Guys, are you really doing any math right now? No. All you're doing is setting up proportions. Who wants to give it a go? Who's still in break? Who wants to volunteer as tribute?
Graham, you go.
Graham, here we go. Graham, sine is opposite over hypotenuse. So we're here at angle A. What number is on the opposite side of the triangle from angle A? 9. And what is the hypotenuse of that triangle? Which is the one that is across from the right angle? 15. So if I do cosine of A, Graham, it's adjacent over hypotenuse. That's our alien antennas. It points at the two numbers you should be using. What two numbers are we going to use?
15 and 12.
Okay, 15 and 12. So which one goes on top, which one goes on the bottom?
15 goes on. Oh, no,
15 goes on the bottom. 12 goes on the top. If you put 15 over 12, that's a number bigger than 1. You can't do that. It has to be 12 over 15. Feeling the love?
I'll go since I made Graham do it.
Yeah, I like that. 1 for 1. Okay, we're looking for the sine of C and the cosine of C. So we're at this angle right here.
36 over 45 for the side.
Sine is 36 over 45. That's opposite over hypotenuse.
And for the cosine, 27 over 45.
Cosine would be adjacent over hypotenuse. Is this helping? This is the purpose of homework. You do this by yourself. But not a lot of you guys do that, so I'm doing it with you right now. Number 6, we got 5 more. Chris, you want to go again? Is that what you said?
No. I can.
All right, let's do it, Chris. The cosine of Z my little alien antennas.
20 over 20.
Perfect. Did you want me to say you want to do the sine of Z? Is that what I heard you say? Okay. 21 over 29. So should I leave the last 4 for you guys to work on? By yourself? So that means you should have 14 questions in your notes for you guys to be practicing. It's easy. Okay. Can I show you where this is going? So theoretically, you have all the information you need to solve that right triangle. So did you ever see a right triangle that looked like that on your quiz? Was there ever a right triangle that just had one number on it? Yeah, but what kind of triangle was it? It's a 45, 45, 90. So how big is this piece? Y'all remember that? How do you get from here to here? Divide by the square root of 2. So what should the answer be? 12. Here's how this works. What if I asked you guys to do the sine of A? Sine of A. So here's your angle right here. What is opposite of angle A? A blank. What do you call blanks in math? X. So the sine of A is equal to X over 12 square roots of 2. But in this instance, how big is angle A? The sine of 45 degrees is equal to X over 12, square roots of 2. Then you'll learn how to put this in your calculator. (12 square roots of 2). Hold on. 12 square roots of 2 trig sine of 45. Huh! It is 12. Whoa, bro. The calculator will do this work for you. Does that kind of like tie it together on the purpose of this? So we're trying to get to this part tomorrow. So like up here, what do you want to do? Like, here's the hardest part. Pick a function. Just pick one. Sine, cosine, or tangent. Sine. Pick an angle. Huh? E. The sine of E is 20 degrees. So the angle E is 20 degrees. What's opposite of the 20? X. What's the hypotenuse? So you could put in your calculator now 8 sine 20. And guess what? The side that we just solved for is 2.73 long. That's where this is going. Did it not work on yours? Because your calculator is in the wrong language. So yeah, that's the hard part. On tomorrow I will stress. Make sure your calculator is not in Russian. And I'll stress it every day. So how do you know if your calculator is in the right language? It's a really easy test.
If you can read it.
No, you do this. Tan 4, 5. And you should get the number 1.
Why would it be in Russia?
Wait, how do you check?
I hit. Ready? I'll do it real slow.
You can't put it in Russian.
T-A-N 4, 5. Oh, 4, 5. No, parentheses. 45. 1. If you get anything but the number 1, your calculator is in the wrong language.
1.6.
I'm not showing you tomorrow because some people take this entire test with their calculator in the wrong language. They do all the right stuff, they get all the wrong answers. I'm like, bro, do you check your phone, make sure it's in English before you start playing with it? Yeah. You can't just expect the calculator to be in the right mode. Look right here. What does mine say? DEG for degrees. And you're at RAD for radians. Menu. Oh, how do you get? Oh, is it home? Oh, it's home. 5, 2. Home 5, 2. Does it say degrees right here? If it doesn't, change it to degrees. If it says radians, wrong. Gradians? Like degree radians, radian degrees, make sure it's in degrees. Hit OK. Make sure you hit OK. And then go back and see if it'll work.
It worked.
10:45. Exit. Does it work now?
Yes.
That's how you always, I say check it, 10:45, 10:45, 10:45, make sure it works. So I'll give you guys the last 2 minutes to work on that. I really want you guys to practice that so tomorrow's not as assaulting on your brains.
Coach Baker,
Student Hunter.
you can't put the calculator on Russian.
Yeah, someone puts it in German all the time. I think it's a funny joke. So I want